All right, have and have not fans, the $1 million question is who will fall so that Candace will rise as the potential next First Lady of the United States in the haves and the have not universe? We all saw what happened in the last episode with the Secret Service agent telling Benny that, hey, kid, you've been railroaded. You must have pissed off somebody in a high position of power, and now you're here in this containment area. I'm not going to lie, as soon as the guy used the word railroaded, and if I'm not mistaken, that was probably in the title of the episode. I got to go back and check. As soon as he said railroaded, I immediately got pissed off, not just because, oh my God, Benny got, contained again. Well, actually, I'm sorry. That's actually why I was pissed off. Just because we saw the same thing way back in season 1, if you recall. We're talking like, before millions of dollars came into play. We're talking about when Candace blackmailed $100,000 in a red sports car from Jim Cryer while he was, preparing to, preparing to positively run for governor of the state of Georgia. And by doing so, him and David were in a position David, if I'm not mistaken, was like, hey, just pay her so she'll go. Well, actually, she's not going to go away. I believe even David pointed that out. But at the same time, it's like, just give it to her so she doesn't blow our chances of winning. So from there, if I'm not mistaken, before Marcy, the alcoholic from If Loving You Is Wrong, was Darcy, the nice girl from church that Hannah was trying to set up Benny with, were going on a date. He borrowed Candace's car. Then he got arrested because, remember, Benny set it up with that detective to have Candace arrested with all the drugs in the car to be arrested and then, wouldn't have to bother Jim again. Turns out it was Benny that got arrested instead. And because of that, he was being railroaded because I believe it was Tony who was walking through the courtroom. Well, yeah. He was walking through the court and then saw the detective who knew Tony from, I believe it was the army or something like that. And he said, hey, that's your son in there, right? He's being railroaded by powerful people. And remember, it's all because of Candace's actions that Benny was in that position. And when you think about it, the same thing is happening now. And again, if you look back, even Hannah was just like, Candace, if you go in there and tell the truth, they'll let your brother go. But she wouldn't do it. And the same thing is probably going to happen now, where, Candace is mixed up in this powerful game, in this game with all these, the big leagues. Let's put it this way. Most people would think that her messing around with people like Warlock and Quincy are like the ground level, pretty much like the high school level of football. Then it moves up, a couple ranks to college football when we're talking about the likes of Jim Cryer and, people in his political platform. Because if I'm not mistaken, Candace said that, she was messing around with powerful people before, like judges and, politicians and whatnot. Maybe not at the presidential level, but governor, judge level. Then when it moves up to the Super Bowl, we have the presidential candidates and whatnot. Arguably, you could say the Oscar was probably like the NFL, but then Charles just took it straight up to the damn Super Bowl at this point. And because of her mixing the pot with ingredients she doesn't know about, that's why she's messed with a whole new level of power. And because of that, now Benny's in a bind. But the question is, if Candace finds out the truth that her brother is in trouble because of her, will she straight up tell the truth? More often than not, no. My money's on no. She's not going to do it. And because of that, he's going to be railroaded and fall so that she will rise as first lady. But her brother has already lost so much. Now, this is me putting aside, the whole thing with Veronica. This is me putting aside Benny basically turning a 180 in terms of his personality since he got out of that coma. But it's just a shame that a guy who really wants to make an honest living is in a position because he's trying to help out somebody he loves. Because even in season 1, we have that established character of Benny. He pretty much put his life on hold to move back in with his mom because Hannah was going through breast cancer at the time. And, just to get the towing job because it was his dream to be a tow truck driver. He saved up all his money, got the tow truck, hard-working guy, didn't go to church as often as his mom wanted him to. But at the same time, you know, he was still a generally good person. But at the same time, when it came to Candace, he would kind of do questionable things, not, you know, illegal, more like illegal in the sense that, you know, he went around his mom's back because he knows that Hannah and Candace have a rocky relationship. So he'll do anything to protect his family, put it that way. And because of that, you know, Candace has lied to him and gave him half truths and made him even turn his back on his mom a couple times and do questionable things that are Candace level. And that next thing you know, she forged signature on paperwork document. Well, yeah, those documents that Erica gave Candace from the bank. Next thing you know, he lost his tow company, lost his house, and now he's about to lose his freedom. And it's just a crying shame. So at the end of the day, I mean, who will fall? It most likely will be Benny. That's not to say that the thing, you know, that the plot wouldn't change. It wouldn't surprise me if it didn't, because remember, Jeffrey was in on the Quincy, you know, Quincy Jr. Well, actually, I'm sorry, Quincy Sr. murder. But it's just, man, I mean, honestly, if Benny didn't bury Quincy in the backyard, he would be scot-free. He wouldn't have anything to do with this. But remember, his bracelet was buried with Quincy, and all they need to do is get his DNA sample, and that's a wrap. So maybe put it this way, maybe the question isn't who will fall so that Candace will rise, but will Candace ever accept responsibility for her actions? I'm not saying it's impossible, but more like it's unlikely at this point. Will the death of her son probably change her for the better? I don't know. It'll probably just make her go into a bigger frenzy than she's already, you know, shown to be in past situations where she doesn't get her way. So, wow. So I just wanted to bring up the question of who will fall so that Candace will rise. And when she does rise up to the top, who's to say she won't fall back down to the bottom again? So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will catch you in the next video.